Alright, so we're now ready to take this solution from using manual dependency management to automating the whole thing using AutoFac. So the first thing I'm going to do is open up the Nugget pane. I'm going to search for AutoFac, and then I'm going to pick just the main AutoFac package, not the other ones. There's plenty of packages here we'll take a look at later, and I'll go ahead and add this package to my project. Alright, so we can now start using AutoFac, and we're going to rewrite the example that we have with the use of AutoFac right now. So the first thing that happens in AutoFac is you want a container, but in order to get that container, you have to make a container builder. And the container builder is the point where you define the components which make up your application, as well as how they should be created. So I'm going to say var builder equals new container builder, and you can see that it's in AutoFac that we're getting this from. Alright, so here is my container builder, and in order to be able to construct a car, I have to register every component which the car requires in my builder. So first of all, we'll register the log. So I'll say builder.register. And there are different ways of registering components. So one of those ways is to call register type, which registers a particular type using the type argument. So here you specify the argument that you want for the type that you want to register. So for example, if I want to register a console log, I would do it like so. Now the thing with the console log is that the dependencies on logging are actually expressed in terms of the interface, ilog. So we're not using specifically a console log for the logging. We could be using some other log. So the question is, well, what do you do if you want the ilog interface to be fulfilled by console log anytime anybody asks for it? And the way this is done is as follows. You register the type console log, and then you say as, and you specify that you want to register it as ilog, like so. So what we're saying here is whenever somebody asks for an ilog, give them a console log. Alright, next up, we're going to register the engine. So once again, we'll do register type engine, and then we'll do builder.register type, and we'll register the car. Okay, so having registered all of these objects in the builder can then be used to construct our actual container. So here we say var container equals builder.build. After you call build, what you end up with is an iContainer, and this iContainer can be used to actually instantiate different objects, such as a car, an engine, or even a log. So how do you get an actual object of type car from the container? Well, it's rather simple. You say container dot, then resolve, and you resolve the type car, like so. So you resolve the type car and you assign it to an object of type car, and then you can operate on the car. Now the interesting thing about this setup is of course the fact that when you resolve car, all of the dependencies of car, and these dependencies are found in the constructor, will be satisfied as well. But not only that, when somebody goes and gives you an engine, the AutoFac framework will actually look at the engine, and it will see that the engine also requires a log, so it will satisfy that dependency as well. And as you can guess, this entire process is recursive. So given that you want to resolve a particular object, this will actually get you the object with all the initialized dependencies of car, and all of those dependencies will be initialized recursively as well. So let's execute this just to see that it works. And as you can see, we have the engine ahead 100 and the car is going forward just as before, except right now we don't have to provide all of those pesky constructor arguments because this is handled automatically. So just to recap once again, what's happening here is first of all you make a container builder, and in the container builder you register all the types which are required. In actual fact, if you forget to register a particular type, then you will get an exception. For example, let's suppose I forget to register the engine. If I now execute the program, you're going to see that instead of running the program, I get an exception. AutoFac is telling me that this component wasn't registered, therefore it cannot resolve it. So here we have the actual description. So an error occurred during the activation of a particular component. And the reason for that is that we were looking for a parameter of type artifact samples engine, but we didn't find one. So that's the problem. Components are not registered automatically. You have to register each component. There are DI frameworks where components are kind of auto-registered, but Artifact didn't go this route, and perhaps it's for the best, because this way you know that you have to explicitly make every component available. Now, the second thing I want to point out is what's happening here. So in case of the console log, we are registering a type console log to fulfill any requests for an ilog. So we're registering console log as an ilog interface, which means that the console log itself is unfortunately not available. What I mean by that is if you try to resolve the console log, if you were to write var log equals container.resolve console log, like so, you would not be able to get it. And the reason for that is that we've specified that the console log is fulfilling only requests for an ilog. Now, if you want the console log to be available for direct resolve, then you can also register it as self by adding this as self instruction. In this case, what happens is the console log is registered both as fulfilling request for an ilog as well as fulfilling request for the console log itself. I know it may seem a bit confusing, but dependency injection works on the types of arguments you actually have in the constructor. You have an ilog, and we have ways of satisfying ilog. But since we don't have concrete types in the constructor, then that's okay. That's not something that we even need. But if we do have a console log being injected in a constructor somewhere, then yes, you have to specify the following construct, because otherwise, without the as self part, you wouldn't be able to construct a console log directly.